The wedding ceremony is over and the crowd has left. What is next in our marriage and relationship? Will there be awesome experiences like I've seen other couples experience? Or will our relationship fall by the wayside like some others have done? These are some of the questions that I'm sure newly married couples ask themselves. To be honest, getting married is a leap of faith. Nobody is 100% sure that the marriage, let alone the relationship, will last. One thing is for sure, though, it can be a wonderful experience if you allow yourself and your mate to experience it together. All the other stuff that goes on in the early years of marriage, the Relationship Therapy Podcast will spend some time in this episode preparing you for.
You've tuned into the Relationship Therapy Podcast with Tony Miller Sr., a podcast designed for couples who are married, couples who are dating, and have marriage in their future. We will guide you to the principles that will make your relationship better. Stick around. You might just learn something that will help your relationship last longer, grow stronger, and become healthier. Now, here's your host, Tony Miller Sr.
Let me jump in real quick to tell you that we've got a special interview coming up next week. You know, we've been talking about infidelity and recovering from that. Well, we've got a special guest coming up next week that we've interviewed that is going to share some valuable information that you could learn from, and you might even get some surprises along the way. So come back next week and listen to our special interview. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Tony Miller Sr., and welcome to another episode of the Relationship Therapy Podcast. In this week's episode, I wanted to make sure that I was speaking to newly married couples. Recently, my wife and I attended the wedding of the daughter of a friend of ours, and while sitting there, I thought about all the things that they will experience together. How they'll have long talks. They'll be sharing their dreams and visions and their goals for their life together. And even some of the things in the future that they will experience together. However, if they have not been properly prepared for some of life's ups and downs, these situations could bring their happiness to a screeching stop. They will have to face it at some point in their first few years of marriage. And I believe if they're not careful, they're going to experience some pain and drama in their lives that will completely knock their relationship out of whack. That's why we're getting ready to talk this week about what happens during the early years. I thought it would be real easy for us to use this one as the first point that we're going to make. And here it is. You will see how tough it is being married. All of the attention of your wedding and the big honeymoon has ended. Now that you find yourself, you and your mate, together alone. What you're about to experience was not expected, and it just may knock you into a state of shock. You're discovering that you and your mate love each other, but what you're finding out about each other during this process, you're finding out that marriage might be harder than you expected. You've had so many of these first little fights, and it's difficult for you to see yourself past it. In these initial arguments, you're arguing over things that may seem silly after the argument, but they're serious to you right now. One of the things that we must consider here is that these first few arguments can set the tone of how our marriage and your relationship will go. All of this is just the ordinary things that you discover in a marriage during the first year or so. The reality of marriage is set in, and it will quickly hit you like a ton of bricks. Did you make a mistake by delving into marriage with this person? Is marriage a right fit for you or for them? What do I tell my family and friends? These are all questions that you begin asking yourself during these early years of marriage. But the biggest question is, do I really want to be married if this is what it's all about? Everybody sees the hope that you had in your marriage. But what people don't realize that certain blowups in your marriage can destroy you in the early stages. This is just a part of what happens in the first year or so of marriage. You can get past these initial onslaught of feelings and trust and know that you will be able to make it. Your marriage is in the early stages of understanding how you two will have to navigate through the tough times. Your relationship is going through growing pains. And just like ordinary growing pains, sometime it will hurt. But as you grow through it together, your marriage will be stronger and you will see the importance of working together in your marriage. So I urge you, I encourage you, don't quit just because of this adjustment period. Yes, it may seem tough, but you don't need to quit. Here's point number 2. Be prepared for the questions about being married. It's almost like you're a celebrity now. The amount of questions that will be asked regarding marriage will be staggering. Everybody and their brother, your cousins, your friends will be asking you all about what's going on in your marriage. Some of the questions could seem to be intrusive. Others may just be surface questions that legitimately need to be told to people. However, young couples must be aware of closet haters. They're not asking to get the advice. They're just asking to receive information or getting updates on where you are. All they want to do is destroy your relationship with your mate. In most cases, it's not about them wanting your mate, but it's just about their meanness and seeing that if they can't have a good marriage or a good relationship, they want to make sure yours fail too. But the next group of people are the ones that want to be nosy and all up in your business. By them having your information allows them to be able to tell your business to the first person that they run into or whoever listens. One of the best pieces of advice I received when I was getting ready to get married to Valerie was don't tell anyone about what happens in your marriage. I didn't understand it originally, but as time went on, I was able to comprehend the value of keeping my relationship business between my mate and myself. If you just have to tell someone outside of your relationship, make sure that they're trustworthy people. Make sure that you can count on them to keep it to themselves and that your business won't be out in the street. And make sure this too, that they have you and your mate's best interest in mind. So number 1, we talked about you will see how tough it is being married. Number 2 is be prepared for questions about being married. But here's number 3, develop traditions together that last. My wife Valerie and I were talking about traditions just the other day. And as we were talking about traditions in marriage relationships, we understood early on in our relationship that we would be carrying out or starting up traditions of our own. Maybe we came from families that had deep traditions on certain things, but we were going to form our own tradition. This was something that we look forward to every holiday season, something that we did specifically that was in the Miller household. Each couple will be able to establish their own traditions. It may not matter to others, but it matters to you too. And that's all that counts. Traditions are a huge key to helping you establish not only continuity in your marriage, but also having positive events to look forward to. Once the couple comes together and makes these traditions a part of their lives, they make sure it happens for the sake of the tradition. Establishing these traditions are important for each couple to pursue. It doesn't matter what they are, but it's your tradition, it's your thing. You establish them together. I believe that traditions that are set by the couple helps deepen the love and affection based on it being a shared activity. The thing about the early years of marriage, you need to be together as much as possible. Because when the children come, the children are going to divide your time between the children and each other. And that will last until the children are gone off to college or they're grown and gone. So this shared activity can be anything that you both enjoy. It can range from going to movies on Christmas Day to going bowling on New Year's Eve or taking a long trip across the country. But when children are born, these certain traditions can still exist, and you can teach your children these traditions and maybe even make more because the kids are present. But just know that developing these traditions together will make your marriage have an atmosphere of love and shared activities together. And that's the main thing about it anyway. And here's the final one that we want to talk about, and that is start building your own foundation of marriage. In these early years of marriage, you must be about building your foundation. And as I've said so many times before, marriage foundations need to be built. The funny thing about building foundations in your marriage is that it will not happen overnight. Too often, couples seem to believe that these foundations will just build themselves, but you must be the one that builds it. The truth is that it will take some time to get to the level where you feel that you can start adding other things to the foundation. It should be starting at the beginning of marriage. That's why I say if you're not starting at the outset of your marriage, you're going to be missing a special beat within your relationship. Good marital habits will go tremendously a long way about building a strong foundation. Too often it's easy to spot holes that couples have in their marital foundation. They're not comfortable with their significant other speaking with someone from the opposite sex without them being around. You cannot give them the third degree. You have to learn to trust them, even when they're not in your sight. Trust has to be close to you, and it has to be at the top of your list in the relationship. That's building your foundation. Without trust, your foundation never actually gets built. If you can't trust your mate out of your sight, then you're probably already headed toward a negative end in the relationship. But then the next thing I want to talk about, the next must have is a strong commitment. I talked about strong commitments in the last week's episode. If you both are not all in, what do you really have? You must be committed to one another. And then the third thing is you must have showing appreciation. You must show appreciation toward one another. the thank yous, the I love yous, the I see you, that will go a long way toward benefiting your relationship and laying the foundation. Because once your mate knows your marital habits, they can start counting on those foundational things that you started building from day one. We must be vulnerable with each other. And when you're vulnerable with each other, that actually means that your relationship is strong together. When you can allow your mate to be who they are and to share what they want to share, and you could do the same thing, that makes your relationship so much stronger. When you're vulnerable and you're able to talk it out, and you trust one another, and you have a strong commitment, this is going to be a long-lasting relationship, one that has a strong foundation. Well, that's all we got for you today. But what we were talking about, what happens during the early years of marriage, you will see how tough it is being married. Number 2, you'll be prepared for questions about being married. Number 3, develop traditions together that last. And number 4, start building your own foundation of marriage. I just believe if you follow these guidelines, the early part of your marriage won't surprise you. And you will be surprised.
Thank you for listening to the Relationship Therapy Podcast with Tony Miller Sr. We hope you have enjoyed this episode.
Thank you.
Tune in next time for more insight on how to make your relationship better.
Remember,
if you have any questions, please email us at tmrelationshiptherapy@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Until next time, remember, it takes two to make the relationship work.